Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. My guests are still here with me, Akelo Misori, the SG Kupet, and Daktari. Of course, he's still here with me. He's Dr. Tom Kuja, an educationist and researcher. But Daktari, coming to you, just recently there was a report released by Usawa Agenda that exposed a critical teacher shortage of approximately 129,392 teachers across junior and senior secondary schools. Right now, we were just talking about the fact that the teacher shortage is not just experienced in, the lower levels, but equally tertiary levels. Lecturers are missing in action, for lack of a better word. Let's start there.
Yes, thank you. Now, teacher shortage has been a thorn on the flesh, and when you talk about implementation of better teaching learning programs, one aspect of that implementation process is the presence of the teacher. Akelo Misori here knows very well the role of a teacher, and that's why they advocate for them. So the government has employed 76,000. And I think they're in the process of employing another 24,000 to make it close to 100,000. Up to the level of the implementation of teaching learning at our basic education institutions, for this one, they have tried. They have really, really tried. But however, teachers are not still enough. They will need to employ more teachers to even fill the gap. Yes, 100,000 is quite a large number. But this cannot also be done once. It must be done in steps. So I feel that from the commitment they had of employing 24,000 additional teachers, that will be a plus. But if they can do more, that will be even better. When you come to the issue about our teaching at the tertiary institution and universities, also we have shortage of lecturers. Remember, the aspect of capitation does not only touch around our basic education institution. It also touches on our tertiary institution and universities. Universities are underfunded. And you saw the CS proposals, on some of his proposals before the Parliamentary Committee on Education, to shut down the satellite campuses, at the same time to see that there's some level of layoffs of lecturers. So if you're doing this to an institution that is already struggling to teach, because the mandate of university is just to teach and do research. So people are already retiring, but no one is getting replaced. Universities and faculties have less staff. Some of them are relying on part-time lecturers, of which they cannot even get money to pay them, all right? So we cannot say we are going to close down universities. We cannot say we are going to shut down or certain universities or to lay off workers. That will be infringing on their rights. And if you do that, I can assure you, you will take the battle to courts because the labor laws will also catch up with you. So the problem here that we need to address is that let us see how we fund these particular universities. To just mention about the mean testing instrument that was being used to place our students on bands, for example, that the president meant well, that there are those particular students that don't require really funding. They can do it by themselves. But when the mean testing instrument was introduced, you realize that a lot of students were sent or were pushed to band 5, which requires families or households to foot part of most of the bills on tuition. So this is really going to derail our education, and a lot of university students are not able to access universities, even as we speak. From the report that was released by COOPS, quite a number of students never chose any university. The reason is simple, is that the university education is becoming expensive, and therefore most of the students then chose other ways, joining TVET institution, and even nursing, for example. So let us make university teaching affordable. If the university education affordable, if we have to develop, for example, a mean testing instrument, let us have the modalities, okay, so that the mean testing instrument is able to tell us that this particular student is in need and therefore requires this particular level of funding, say 70% or 80%. But the current mean testing instrument is not working, and let us revise it so that we also get money for the university to operate. I heard lecture, the vice chancellors are saying that from what they're saying that they're doing well. They're not doing well. They're not doing well, I'm telling you. Okay? These guys are really, really struggling. For the first time, we are hearing universities not paying salaries on time. Salary arrears are there, not paid on time. They're not remitting statutory deductions. And universities are brink of collapse. This is the time universities need the government to come in and boost them so that teaching, learning also goes into our public universities.
Okay. Akelo, coming to you, I mean, when this Usawa agenda report was released and an alarm was being sounded on this issue of teacher shortage, a number of government officials came out and said, you know what, we are okay. Yes, they're planning to hire 24,000 more teachers. Yes, the government says that they've already employed 76,000 teachers. But is it sufficient? Talk to us about this laxity of when it comes to employing teachers.
First, let me laud the government for having employed 76,000 teachers in the shortest period possible. This one has been encouraging. However, that one is just so little given the kind of education that we are implementing. We have had so many learning areas introduced, and especially as we move towards senior school, we in the CBE curriculum which we are implementing, it would be very, very important that more teachers are engaged. But it is not just engaging more teachers. You must engage teachers who are motivated to do the work. The quality teachers who can not negate on the principles of compromising or going against providing quality education. So we have to do much, as Dr. Ria said, that we must have more teachers engaged. And to a large extent, it is important to say that at this particular time in point, we cannot afford to say that we are going to close satellite universities.
Yeah.
You know, the universities have become the norm that if you don't have university education, then you have not gone to school. And therefore, most universities are now very closer to our villages where we can ride bicycles to universities. Learners can ride to university, and therefore they can get cheap accommodation and so on. In an event that the government plans to shut down satellite universities, it means that we are going to curtail also the provision of university education. That means that education is going to remain for the select few, which goes against the grain of providing universal quality education for all. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So still on the issue of funding, Dr. coming to you, since it seems that moving forward, parents will have to cost share with schools when it comes to the issue of ensuring that education runs smoothly. What are the pros and cons?
So, well, as all things are going currently, parents will not run away from footing some money or tuition money into education, because now, as Akelo rightfully puts it, who will foot the balance? Who will foot the balance? Because the government has said there's no money, and that is the position. So who will foot this particular balance? I think parents will still dig deeper into their pockets to fund or to add this particular money to fund the deficit of the education so that their children will also go to school. Because as much as they'll struggle, they'll just still look for this particular money to put their children to school, because no parent will want to see the child out of school as others are going to school. So the parents must also prepare, and not necessarily meeting the education cost even at the basic education institutions, and even in tertiary levels and even universities. And I know of a student who really struggled to get to the university when he was placed in Band 5. And the student comes from a poor family background, an orphan for that particular matter, and he has been between Band 5, and he has been told that he's supposed to pay 96,000 shillings for that particular semester. So this is really a problem for most of us, because you begin wondering, how did the mean testing instrument put this particular student in band 5? So this mean testing instrument must be adjusted. It's a thorn in the flesh, and universities are suffering because of this particular funding model.
Okay, Akello, coming to you. I mean, we've seen stakeholders and other parents, saying that perhaps introducing sanctioned levies or more charges to parents or extra costs to parents to just fit in the gap is a temporary measure. But then there are those that saying, we can say we're doing this, and then the government will turn on us and say, since they have been doing it, they can continue doing it. Is it a catch-22 situation?
Kenya is not the only country which can propose and execute the universal free education, which is affordable and which is being footed by government wholly. We have countries which are doing that, but in the circumstances that the government cannot do it, then there should be a deliberate attempt to discuss this openly, and then we own up, we say that we cannot afford. The way the CS Finance did say that we lack the capacity. We should see a deliberate attempt that every person should say that we lack the capacity. And then we say that, yes, if we lack the capacity, and education is also not cheap affair, because if we have to look for the cheap option, then we are going to only take ignorance, which is going to be disastrous. So in the circumstance, we are saying that let it be a national conversation. Let us to have a conversation. Let Parliament take time and say that, is it true that we cannot afford? But Ashley, we have other levies which have been put down the throat of Kenyans.
Yeah.
One of such is housing levy. The other one is SHA, where we are contributing. Already the environment has settled, and nobody is now complaining. We are now looking for, do we have services? Are there houses? Is medical working? And so on. Why can't we say, therefore, that maybe 2% is to be levied in every item you pick from a essential commodity in the market to fund education, because education runs our industries. Yeah. Education runs our economy. Yes. And education is everything for us. Why do we make it be a backstreet discussion? Let it be on the front pages of the newspapers. Let it be also on the first item in Parliament when Parliament is sitting, that we are funding education. Then we shall get a solution. But Kenyans must not shy away from engaging in discussions, in a discourse which is going to deliver education which is affordable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There are those that are saying, you know what, education is a right that is guaranteed by the Constitution. There are those that are saying, maybe it's time we take a legal action. Do you think for those who are looking at the courts as an exercise in futility?
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Now, when CS Buddy appeared on Parliament Committee on Education, those guys were very mad with him. Why? Because these are the same members of Parliament that approved this particular funding for education. So when you see institutions who have been given the mandate to oversee our education system also getting shocked, so what would be the level of shock to an ordinary citizen like myself and yourself? So that's the question you're asking. And that's why you see some members of Parliament posted to him. So are you telling us that the 22,224 is not enough? So what is your working figure? So that we know that if the government cannot fund the 22,244, say we only have 16,000 shillings for every student. So let us work with that particular figure so that when these particular figures are sent to the schools, schools can use to budget properly. Let the schools know that there's no money. The figure available is 16,000 shillings. Let them budget from the 16,000 shillings so that we don't really raise expectation and therefore bring them to a standstill at once.
Okay.
So let schools be prepared psychologically that 16,000 or 17,000 is what is workable. Let us not have a situation whereby we have 22,000 shillings and it's not coming on time. So the principals and head teachers and heads of institution can have a working number for them. Because as it stands now, and that's why actually schools closed early last week. They closed early last week simply because they have no money to run the institutions.
Okay.
The debts, they have not paid their debt. The suppliers are on their throats. They come to the school building, they attack the principal, they tell them a lot of things because they want their money paid. But they will not understand because to them they know the government has already disbursed the capitation.
Okay.
Yes.
Since we have around 5 minutes, let's talk about something else. And Akello, coming to you, I mean, around 1.2 million grade 9 learners are set to transition to grade 10 next year. Where are we at in terms of preparation?
No, Ashley, I think this one is not going to be a difficult transition.
Okay.
Because it may only have the far-reaching effect if the teachers so far are not being inducted to receive grade 10 in our schools. Mm-hmm. The high schools already do not have one class in the previous curriculum. So we have got sufficient space in the high schools, which can accommodate the same number of learners who are coming on board. There would, of course, be challenges, especially in the choice of pathways, because quite a number of learners may have wished to pursue STEM or social sciences, and the kind of schools that they may choose may not guarantee them the freedom to have a leverage to join the kind of course that they want. But otherwise, I don't think there is a much challenge when it comes to infrastructure in our high schools, which are supposed to receive the grade 9.
What about teachers?
The teachers themselves need only to be retooled. And that is the kind of guarantee that we need to get from Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Education, that are, as we close schools in August, are we having the teachers in their numbers in their training institutions to receive one class, which is only grade 10.
All right.
Yeah.
So on that front, we are good.
I don't think there are issues.
Okay. But then earlier on, we talked about the issue of streamlining the CBE, not just at a lower level, but equally at a higher level in terms of tertiary level universities. You are a representative of our university here. Are we streamlined?
Yes. Yes, universities are working because I just said that they are going to receive the first cohort in 2029.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of workshops on CBE alignment with the university and faculty programs. Because now the universities in the trainings, they have to align their courses with this competence-based education, with the pathways that already the foundation has been laid in our secondary schools. So there are a lot of training, a lot of revamping, where faculties are meeting, faculty of education, faculty of science, faculty of law, just to ensure that the curriculum-based establishment, the competence-based education outcomes are aligned with the competence-based curriculum that we already have. So yes, there's been a lot of training for lecturers and faculty members.
Okay, I'll let you have the final say. Perhaps I'll start with you, Akello. I mean, there's so much uncertainty in our education sector. What needs to be done going forward to ensure that Kenya's education is right back on track?
We must be ready to plan, and we have to plan well for the future. We must also be ready to accept that education is not a cheap venture. It must be prepared for, and therefore everyone must be prepared to undertake their roles seriously. But one thing which I need to emphasize here, our parliament must be a proactive parliament, and they must ensure that the allocation towards education is prioritized, just like the allocation towards health and security. There is no alternative to what we are saying. We are saying that they must ensure that parents are not overburdened. There must be a deliberate attempt in our country that if it is becoming difficult, then a national discourse needs to be engaged.
Okay. I'll let you
Yes, thank you. My final comment is that, okay, we are trying. We are not, as much as we have talked We are trying.
Should we try or should we do, though?
We are trying and doing. So it's not really badly off sometimes, but because again, you sympathize with the president. You know, he came in when we were at the apex of implementing the CBC. So he has really done something, like employment of teachers and so on and so forth. So what we have to do now is that let us strengthen our Directorate of Quality Assurance and Standards. Let us have people there to go to schools and check the quality of teaching and learning, because that's an issue. Number two, the promise and the commitment of employing 24,000 teachers in this particular financial year, let that come to a reality so that we bridge this particular gap of competence-based establishment. On the issue of transition from grade 9 to grade 10, just like to echo what my brother has said, schools are prepared. They don't have one extra classrooms, and teachers' workload significantly reduced when they were not receiving from Form 1. So there's a lot of capacity there. One thing that needs to happen, let us not, Kenya, we like waiting until we like reacting to things. So can the Teacher Service Commission now and stakeholders involved retool these particular teachers? I can tell you, you walk into a staff room, you have a discussion with a colleague, some of them don't even understand what these particular pathways are. And that is the teacher who is meant to pass knowledge to the student. Let us not just call it retooling in terms of paper and the media. Let us have the actual retooling in schools. And if possible, let us reduce the training and the retooling at the sub-county level. At the sub-county level where teachers are called and they are there and they attend these particular seminars and workshops and they are taken through this particular system and then they come knowing exactly what they're supposed to do. Otherwise, we are trying. In the university, I want to urge the government of Kenya, please, prioritize funding of education in Kenya. That is the only thing you can do now in this particular country. Let us release the funds that are made for education, our basic education institutions, tertiary and university, so that we avoid these particular chaotic scenes. Let our students join universities, join our basic education institution, and let us align our education system with our education goal of equality for all in this nation.
All right, that's a really good place to end it. And I hope this conversation won't end today.
Yes.
Let's see what comes out in the next few days. And of course, we can always continue having these conversations for the betterment of our country in general. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Akello Mizori, the KUPPET Secretary General, that is the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, and Dr. Tom Kuja, an educationist and a researcher. That's how we wrap things up here on KTN Prime. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Ashley Mazuri. Have a good night.